Alright, so I haven't recorded myself in a long time. There's a whole bunch of things, a lot of depression, blah blah blah. That doesn't really matter. This is a life update. This is about how antimatter doesn't seem to interact with the electromagnetic field particles and light photon particles and phonon particles. Which is weird. You know, that's you. That's you making the face like, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. But it's like, alright, so they don't. They clearly decay, though. Right? That's quantum foam. Is that not just basically a quantum foam detector? Or is that something else? Right? Seriously. I mean, it's virtual particles. They don't interact. Well, clearly something's making, in the vacuum, a bunch of antimatter decay. Is it the electromagnetic fields that you store it in? Or is it the photons? Are you sure it's the photons? Because we have a lot of photons that decay really rapidly. Clearly we can make a bunch of positrons. They don't decay that much to light. They're seemingly infinite, finite, somehow, points, though. Right? Somehow. I always like to do the somehow because people go like, no, there is for sure spatial 4 or 5 dimensional as it expands and contracts based upon the gaining of energy changing its wavelength, but also the expansion rate of our universe that changes depending on the compression of space-time based due to math in regards to this mass and how close it is together. As it, of course, propagates through the ethers. The ethers are back. Not space-time, it's ether. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but it should decay a lot faster. So what is it? Does anybody know? You can't really fucking seeming to measure, and just throwing this on here. Because it's like, you kept trying to measure photons, right? And you didn't get anywhere. Like, you didn't. You couldn't get quarks out of them. You couldn't smash them. Your particle smashy smasher didn't work. Apparently they're just skipping through or tunneling. Or is it just that they just never got close enough at the high enough luminance? We just need to get to like black hole levels of luminance, and that'll do it. So we got the particle photon smasherino here called the quasar event horizon. That's why it burps out shit. See what I mean? See, I'm not sure, man. When you're driving that. We don't know why antimatter actually decays the way it does. And until someone actually really measures that properly, we have fuck all of an ability to say that the magnet theoretical particles here, of the quark-in, gluon, whatever the fuck that is, don't really seem to fuck up antimatter much. You see what I mean? That's what I'm driving at. So are they real or are they fake? Same thing with photons. And phonons, are they real or are they fake? Are they matter as our constituent basis of matter? Is that a build-up to the point where it becomes decoherent and in the right way that creates this specific atom that has realness associated with it? In a locality way that then changes based upon, of course, the way you measure it and the distance and so on as to the result of in every way vibrational resonance is going on in regards to what you're doing. So, relative to all this, the information is a constant propagation informatic waves in a thermodynamic system that seems to us to be very unstable and very decoherented, disordered, disorganized. It's like, okay, right? But is it? Just because we can't see it, just because it decays off as a field, a wave field on the ocean, all right? In a 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional context during the expansion of space and time that elongates these tiny little fuckers to effectively look like straight lines and aren't really there to us. Is it disorganized and, all that chaotic now? Or did it entropedically stabilize itself, become far more organized and very, very non-chaotic? Probably. Because that's what we say it does. If you don't know, I actually do know that's exactly what they say. If you're unaware, I'm just fucking leading you into what is essentially a fucking college course. It could have right, on the table from the start, but it's like, but you don't want to think about it. But that's the cool, tricky, like, my God, that's onto something. They already figured that out, so fuck off. It's already a thing, you know what I mean? Look over here, it's still over there, like a VFX artist just saying, a little fucking editing. It's still here over It's still over there doing something, this weird multi-dimensional movie thingy. I was thinking about it for like electromagnetic potential fractals. So these are spiral graphs, kind of technically. But like, okay, so this is during combustion events, so it goes up and it goes, right? But it's like, depending on the amount of pressure, depending on the compression, the amount of heat, that changes the elicited amount of conductivity, and thermal conductivity changes the amount of ionic potential therein seen. It creates a fractal as it suddenly sparks and joins into a, currently, let's think about it as a box that has multiple little boxes in it, right? And then the boxes remain the same size, is what you imagine, but that's not actually the case. The boxes actually expand and contract. Okay. Now, depending on the initial value setup, the spirals then change in the fractal manner of a least resistive path to, of course, the conductivity range that they can go to. That, of course, bleeds off energy and heat. Okay. However, we're not really there yet because we have magnetohydrodynamics, phononic resonances, photonic resonances, constructive-destructive interferences, and a whole host of other different things. You can't possibly imagine this, and you can't possibly, compute it, right? Right? But it's like, no. You can. You can. We don't have to get into, like, gluon levels of, this is macro shit. You can calculate that. It's just really hard to do it, because we're fucking stupid, and then that's how that works, right? That's really all it is. However, it's like, yeah, but imagine that then, of course, we gained more boxes while the other ones shrank and expanded and moved therein for their placement initial energy values that happen to contain, of course, that movement propagation as a plus or minus within the system that, of course, moves along the released resistive path in a 4D, 5D context. The 5D is expansion and contraction and the new boxes of formation. Now, the reason why they spiral is because there's conservation of momentum. There's vibrations as well, which of course add in the expansion and contraction. That's a 5D construct of combustion inside of a cylinder. For your engines, that's right. See, when they go and they go, and they go, to all these different little spots, and it's like lightning bolts inside of an atmosphere onto the very surface. It's like, yeah, basically that's what they're doing, for what it's worth. But then they create electromagnetic and ionic field potential, which of course changes how things move. It's a very interesting thing, but the reason why I'm talking about it is because, yeah, that's essentially what's going on with all of your little antimatter area, which is contained inside a very, very tight little area. And you can calculate for that. That means no matter what, you could have been doing this, and you don't know what's actually going on, and you're stupid. You're the ones with billions of dollars. Just fucking imagine tons and tons of pallets right there, just like fucking huge ones. Billions and billions of dollars over there. And then you're like gonna sexually harass, got Fermilab going on, I'll just let it go on. Oh, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, whatever, guys. Fucking yeah. We don't need nothing over here for, like, sexual harassment protection. There's no reason why women don't want to get involved in your fucking workplace. Or science and technology, for that matter. There's never a boys' club in there, huh? But I'm gonna move on. We don't do that! Meanwhile, my ass goes, so moving on from your obvious defensive nature, that clearly seems to be going on there. We're going to have to talk about how the fact that you clearly could use this as a detector and even measure possibly the amount of gravity, as long as you effectively pulse relative to the 9.8, whatever the fuck relative gravity is in your area, and then of course the continuation of the centrifugal and centripetal forces going on that obviously are going to continue a propagation upwards as an angular vector velocity in a 4D, 5D manner. With the, of course, compression of space and time changing as it radiates outwards, and quantum foam that enters. Yeah, You chose not to calculate it. You're the weird one now. I refuse! I refuse! You're the weird one! You! No, lame-o that doesn't want to do the work. You're the weird one. You are the weird one now. I have very few antimatter. Look at all these antimatters just LHC producing every so often. Really. But like, to be fair, even like a small nanogram, which is ridiculous actually, you wouldn't be, but like even like a 1 would be good enough, to be fair. As long as you can get it to survive for a few milliseconds, you have enough data, get out of here. You're the weird ones. You know that you could prove or disprove how real and not real, and ultimately speaking, how matter-like your matter is at that small of a scale. And whether or not it really pertains to your Big Bang the way you thought it did. You lame-o weirdos for the quantum mechanical standard model. No! Yeah, bye. Fifth dimensional. Boxes. They open, they're suddenly there, new space. The original boxes then gain new boxes. They're not going to expand into the same, it's just a bigger box. No, you gain new boxes because it moved. And that means it elongates. That's a fifth dimensional context. We gained a fifth dimensional new space. That's why I'm talking about like that with the fractal spirals as a thermodynamic, chromo, and electrodynamic process. Fifth dimension! You probably didn't know that in math land, but like, yeah, I don't think about it in flat. There's no flat. Everything is moving and never-endingly in a multiple 3D manner, intersecting itself. The only reason why it spirals is because of how the electromagnetic and like it decays and it creates certain types of fields that then conductively move electrons. Anyways, moving on. That has nothing to do with this, though. Don't get into that, because you have to get into then other, nuclear forces and thermodynamic, phononic, kinetic forces, energy, potential pressure wave systems, and then you have to get into other chromodynamic, electrodynamics. So this is strong as a weak force, actually, as a weak force changes depending on how you view the subatomic particles that we're going to observe, and how close they actually do get, which is a boundary layer thing. So like it gets to an exponential, so it's a reverse exponential graph. And so like when you get closer and closer to a boundary layer, the more and more pressure and more energy. So that might be what's actually saving it. But then that's force, and then that's directionality. Of course, we're spinning and then we're spinning. So, around something while that's then going around something. Whole thing, and then that's moving. So, whole thing. Point is, though, there you go. That's why I talked about it that way. Right? And it's just for combustion engine stuff that I'm thinking about, making it far more efficient. There's like meat still on that table with how I do that and how I set it up for like the two different servers and so on. It's a whole thing. But, for what it's worth, it's also the same thing for like my vacuum energy acoustic resonance pumps with my vacuum ship that then happens to create heat as an acoustic resonance cooler. And then it sucks in air and then blows it out faster. For all, it's a whole thing. Anyways, bye.